Hello and welcome to episode 28 of the Nourish and Strengthen podcast. I'm super excited that you're here to discuss something with me that is so important all the time when it comes to our fitness and weight loss journeys, but especially this time of year. And that has to do with our expectations with our weight loss and our fitness goals, specifically during the holidays. Okay, so this is probably going to be a pretty quick episode for you guys today to help just kind of hopefully dial in your thoughts about your progress during the year, because our thoughts, our feelings, they really do dictate our actions and our results. Okay, little quick housekeeping really quickly. Today, actually, the day this releases, I'm doing a free masterclass on the 7 habits for an easier fat loss journey. So we all know, you guys, we've talked about this before. Motivation and willpower do not work as a long-term strategy to reaching your goals, sticking to your program, that kind of thing. We have to rely on habits. And my coaching team and I have put together 7 specific habits that if you are doing these 7 things consistently over time, they're going to improve your progress exponentially and make your journey for weight loss and reaching your goals so much easier, like so much easier. So hopefully you're signed up for my free masterclass. It's today. If you're not, just shoot me a DM if you hear this today. If you hear this today on December 13th. Otherwise, I'm going to share the info with you guys probably on another podcast. So if you missed it, don't stress, okay? All right, let's go ahead and just jump on into our topic today. And let's talk about first the power of our expectations. Okay, so this is kind of a couple background thoughts before we go into, what you should do during the holidays if you choose to adjust your expectations. Okay, so power of our expectations. What happens? I want you to think about a time in your own life. What happens when you have very high expectations and the results are not there? So let's just use weight loss as an example, right? Let's say your expectations are super high. You're expecting that, sure, the average weight loss is like 1/2 pound to 2 pounds a week, but you're expecting that you're different and you want to lose 2-3 pounds a week. So when you're a month into your program and you have not lost 10 to 12 pounds, you're frustrated, you're discouraged, you're feeling like, oh, this is just one more thing that doesn't work, right? But what if your expectations were lower? What if they were more realistic and you meet them? Or maybe you even exceed them. Like, what if your expectations for the first month of a program were to lose 3 to 5 pounds? And then maybe you lose 5 or 6. You're excited, you're satisfied, you're happy. So see how the outcome is the same, but your expectations in both of those scenarios really dictate how you feel about that outcome, right? So I'm kind of a big believer in low expectations, kind of in all things in life. I'm super easygoing. I'm really easy to please. And I really, truly feel like it just leads to a happier life. But that's not to say that, I have low expectations of a lot of things. I just think in general, I'm fairly easy to please. And so I don't have a lot of times where I'm super disappointed in certain things, right? So I'm not saying you can't set high goals. I'm not saying you can't think and dream big. That's not what I'm saying. I am just kind of bringing this back to when it comes to your fat loss results during the holidays, okay, you may want to consider shifting your goal from fat loss to maintenance just for the next few weeks, okay? It can be especially helpful during the holidays. So going back to our example that we had just a minute ago, let's say your goal is weight loss. Let's say you want to lose 30 pounds or whatever. And here we are, you find yourself mid-December, you're struggling a bit to stay on track because you have so much going on, the parties, all the things, which I'm going to give you tips for those in just a minute. But your goal is like, how am I possibly going to lose 5 pounds this month when there's so much going on? What if you switch your goal to maintenance and then you end up losing 2 pounds? Do you see how if your goal is maintenance and you lose 2 pounds, you're like, sweet, not only did I achieve my goal of maintaining, but I actually went a little bit above and beyond because I lost a couple pounds as well. As opposed to if your goal is to lose 5 or 6 pounds and you quote unquote only lose 2, then you're frustrated. Okay, so that's kind of the power of switching your mindset to maintenance, especially during the holidays. So Let's say you're on board with me. I hope you are. Let's say you're on board with me and you do want to switch your goal to maintenance. So what does that mean? How do you do that? What do you do exactly? First of all, let me say, if you're working with a coach on my team, express this to her and we can totally help support. We can adjust your programming, your macros, that kind of thing to reflect this new change in goal. I also do want to throw out there, if you're on a roll and you're motivated and you're seeing results and you are just going, I'm not telling you have to stop. If you've got that momentum, you're feeling great, keep on going, okay? Not telling you have to shift your goal to maintenance, just throwing it out there as an idea. If you are struggling with compliance to your plan, adherence, consistency, that sort of thing, okay? So let's talk about diet breaks. What is a diet break? Okay, a diet break is basically a break from your calorie deficit. Long periods of time in a calorie deficit over time can make it harder to lose weight, right? There's so many things that will fight against you as you get deeper and deeper into that calorie deficit, okay? So using diet breaks can help you lose weight more linearly, more smoothly over time. It can help you maintain your muscle. It can help lower food obsession. It can help with your hunger hormones. It can help so many things. Reset that biofeedback. You know, the deeper you are into a deficit, it can affect your gut health. It can affect your sleep. It can affect your mood. So taking these diet breaks periodically can really, really help just kind of give your body and your mind that break from the deficit, okay? So if you're bought in on the idea of diet breaks, why not do one over the holidays? It just makes sense, right? We as a coaching team, we love to plan diet breaks around people's vacations, and holidays is another time that's a great time to plan a diet break, okay? You're also gonna start January with like this renewed sense of motivation and excitement, and just kind of like, okay, I am ready to hit it hard. Kind of that, you know, that excitement and motivation that comes with January anyway. You're gonna have it even more so if you've had a little bit of a diet break over the holidays. But I have some not caveats, but I have some guidelines for you because it is so easy to think, oh, well, I'm starting again in January, so it doesn't matter what I do now. I'm just going to throw in the towel. Yeah, I'm doing a diet break during the holidays, which means I can have whatever I want, whenever I want. That kind of mindset is going to backfire. I promise you, okay? So diet breaks are not a free for all. There are key things that you need to do in order to make these like quote unquote work for you, okay? You still want to have structure. So what does that structure look like? That structure can look like, here's an idea, if you're not burned out mentally on tracking your macros, so maybe you keep tracking, but you add 200 to 300 calories, and you're gonna add those by way of carbs or fats, okay? I'm assuming your protein is already in a good spot. If it's not, work that up as well. But assuming your protein's already in a good spot, you probably don't need to increase it. So I will bump those extra calories up from carbs and fats. That's going to make it feel like you can have so many more of the foods you want to have, right? So you're still hitting your protein targets, you're closer to your maintenance calories, and you're going to have so much more of an enjoyable experience when it comes to enjoying food during the holiday season, okay? Now, on the flip side, some people that need a diet break are just super mentally burned out from tracking. I totally get that as well, and this could be a great time to take a break from tracking. You do just want to be extra mindful at this time of year because it's so easy. There's so many highly palatable foods that are going to be dropped off at your doorstep, served at parties, in the break room at work, that kind of thing. So you do need to be like hyper aware of mindfulness. So we're going to talk about some mindfulness techniques and ideas right now, okay? So kind of a recap, possibly adjust your goal to maintenance during the holidays. If you're going to do that, I would build in a diet break over the holidays. If you're good with tracking, I would keep tracking, but bump up calories 200 to 300. That's where we're at so far. If you feel like you need a break from tracking, here's what some of the things that I want you guys to think about, okay? Number one, eat at set meal times. Okay, this is gonna keep you from just kind of munching all day. So think about the meal times you typically eat when you're tracking. Maybe you wake up and have breakfast around 7:30. Maybe you eat again at 11. Maybe it's 2, then 5, then maybe 7:30 or 8 or something. Whatever that looks like for you, when you're in the middle of tracking, or when you're tracking your food, I would keep those set meal times and then try to think, okay, it's mealtime right now. And then I don't eat until my next mealtime. Okay. So this is going to keep you, like I said, from munching in food just kind of all day long. Oh, there's chips, I'm going to have some. There's crackers, I'm going to have some. Oh, brownies got delivered at the door, I'm going to have some. Okay. Keeping those at meal times is going to help so much. Also, think about the same habits you had when you were tracking. You probably prioritize protein with each meal, right? You're going to keep on doing that habit. So keep on eating at set meal times and making sure you have protein at every meal. Does that mean that you can maybe have a protein shake and a treat that was dropped off at your door? Yeah, that's what that means. Okay. It does mean that you can enjoy more of those foods that you might not if your calories were lower, because we're going to let your calories be a bit higher, and you're going to set at those meal times, right? And then prioritize protein. Okay. So other mindfulness tips here: only eat from a plate. What? You might be thinking, of course I eat from a plate. What do you think I am? I'm not going to eat off the counter or whatever, but I want you to think about it. How many times do you go to the pantry, grab a bag of chips, grab a few chips out of the bag, grab the crackers, grab the cereal, take a handful out of the box, right? It's common, okay? It's common, right? So just the act of taking that food and putting it on a plate is a game changer, because it makes you step back for that quick second and think, do I really want this? Do I really want this bad enough to take the chips or the crackers out of the pantry, put them on a plate, and then eat them? Sometimes that might feel a little bit silly, and you're like, I don't actually want the 2 chips. That's dumb. I don't want to get out a plate. I don't want to put it on there. I don't want to wash the plate, whatever, Another mindfulness technique that goes right along with that is don't eat while standing up. Okay. How many times, especially as moms, are we rushing around the kitchen, running around the house, and eating on the go, right? So I want you to focus on putting your food on a plate and then sitting down at the table, at the counter. This is going to help so much with that question of, do I really want this? It's going to help prevent that mindless eating. But it's also just going to help with satiety and satisfaction as well, which is going to help you not overeat calories, right? The busier we are, the more checked out we feel from the eating experience, the more likely we are to overeat and not even notice it. Okay. Another mindfulness tip is to not eat while you're doing other things. So no multitasking. That means don't scroll social media when you eat. Don't watch TV when you eat. Don't work while you eat. That's a big one. That's one that I personally struggle with. Sometimes I find myself falling back into habits and just bringing food to my desk and eating while I'm working. That really kind of distracts you from that satisfaction that comes from the meal. And when you're not focusing on your hunger and fullness cues and the satisfaction from food, you're much more likely to overeat. Okay. The last one I want to talk about here is really focusing on that hunger and fullness. Okay. So I want you to think about a hunger and fullness scale, and think about hunger, like a very, very hungry is, oh my gosh, I am so starving. I can't even think straight. My stomach's growling. Like if you ever fast for any reason, like maybe it's at the end of your fast, you are, or somewhere in the middle when you are so, so hungry and you're feeling a little bit weak, like all the physiological signs of hunger that your body feels, like you're feeling all of those. Okay. And then fullness, the very end of the fullness scale might be after Thanksgiving, you are so, so full. You've stuffed yourself. You feel sick to your stomach. You don't even feel comfortable walking around. Those are extremes. We do not want to be at those extremes. Okay. And sometimes when you're kind of in a habit of snacking and munching throughout the day, you don't even know what that hunger and fullness scale feels like, right? That's one of the problems of constantly munching, is that you never really feel hunger because you're just constantly kind of feeding yourself, right? And so it can be super helpful to, like I said, separate those meal times and actually allow yourself to get a little bit hungry and then notice that it's time to eat again, as opposed to continuing to eat throughout the meals. Does that make sense? And so you want to get to the point, what does hunger feel like? For a lot of people, it can be a stomach growl, but not everyone. Sometimes before the stomach growl, you just feel kind of like an emptiness in your abdomen, right? It's just kind of an emptiness. And once you start paying attention to this, after you eat a meal, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, there's no hunger there, right? Hopefully you had a good solid meal. There's no hunger there. You feel the food in your gut. It's digesting, it's working its way through there. but a couple hours later, you feel that empty feeling. Okay, so those are two signs of hunger that you can pay attention to. And if you don't even know what that feels like I said, it's a great idea to separate out those meal times, focus on no munching between meals, and get to know what that feels like for you. All right. So let's talk about one more thing here, and that is going right along with the mindless munching. That is BLTs. If you guys have been following me for long, you probably have heard me talk about this before, but BLTs are bites, licks, and tastes. Not bacon, lettuce, tomato sandwiches, bites, licks, and tastes. And these are the mindless nibbles of your food that you don't even notice, but they do absolutely add up. Okay, they're not satiating, they're not satisfying. They are, for example, maybe you're making your kid a peanut butter sandwich and you lick the peanut butter off the knife, right? Maybe there's a candy dish at your work, and every time you pass by, you grab a piece of chocolate or a mint or something. Maybe you're making dinner and you taste the dinner a whole bunch of times. You have bites of it to see how it's going. And then, weird, all of a sudden you sit down for dinner and you're not hungry anymore. I wonder how that happens, right? Now, I'm not saying to never have BLTs, they're pretty natural. To say no BLTs would be really, really hard to do. The idea here is just to be aware, and being aware will put you in that mindful zone of just, like I said, being aware and taking a step back and thinking, do I really need to lick all this peanut butter off the knife? Because I'm going to sit down to have my own lunch in just a minute. I don't. Maybe I could just put it straight into the sink, right? So just being aware, okay? Now, when you have these mindfulness techniques and you're really good at them, it can really be empowering. It can be so, so empowering to feel like you're keeping the promises you make to yourself. So that's a really an idea that I really, really like, is keeping these promises that you make to yourself. Something that helps for me. Sometimes I get into a bad habit of just kind of snacking and munching after dinner before bed. I think a lot of people can relate to that. And so something that I will do if I find myself, walking to my chocolate drawer or whatever it is, I will stop myself and audibly say, no, I keep the promises that I make to myself. And if it's something I'm trying to work on, like no snacking at night or something about stopping and actually saying that out loud helps so much to kind of flip that switch. It's like that trigger to flip the switch in your mind to be like, nope, redirect. I'm going back to whatever I was doing. I don't need the food. I don't need the snacks. I keep the promises I make to myself. So that idea can apply to so many things. Maybe it's getting up in the morning. Maybe you really want to focus on getting in an early morning workout and you're tempted to press snooze and you say, nope, I keep the promises I make to myself, and you turn off the alarm, get out of bed. Okay. Something about actually saying that out loud is key. Okay. So just to wrap this up, guys, you can 100% see amazing results through the holidays. If you are on fire, feeling great, super motivated, there's no reason to change that up. Okay. I'm just offering you another solution here. If you've been dieting for a while, you feel like your consistency is lacking, your motivation is dragging, your excitement for the whole process is down, maybe your biofeedback is struggling, that means your gut health, your sleep, your mood, that kind of thing, I would consider taking a diet break for a couple of weeks through the month of December, or at least for the weeks around Christmas and New Year's. And I think it will help so much with a lot of those issues with consistency, excitement, motivation, all that kind of things, if you just kick it back into gear in January. But as a reminder, does not mean it's a free for all. You got to stay mindful. If you can track, I would add that 200 to 300 calories in and keep tracking. But yeah, hopefully that offers you guys some new ideas, some hope. And yeah, I would love to hear what you guys thought about this episode. Hopefully it was helpful to you and you enjoyed it. Go ahead and shoot me a DM on social media if you have any questions. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time.